What's up, good people, and welcome back to my channel where we bond over our favorite TV shows, trending topics, and everything in between that we care about. So again, as you can see, I am still out in these streets. I am recharging, taking advantage of the sunlight and the nice, beautiful day here in Chicagoland. And behind me, because I know some of you are going to ask, is Lake Michigan. Not yet in my studio where I can give you guys a proper reaction, commentary kind of video, but yet things are still happening in the world of Darius Cooks and the doxing and the predatory practices and being exposed. And so I wanted to still share that information with you guys. As of last night, Roland Martin interviewed Melanie Ford, who was another one of Darius Cooks' doxing victims from a few years ago. And she tells her story and gets into how it has affected her life, which I think we don't talk a lot about that, how being doxed, being humiliated, and having tens of thousands of people basically dog whistle to attack you, how that can take an emotional toll, reputational toll on your life. And so in this interview that Melanie does with Roland Martin, there's conversation about that. She tells her story, as well as what I really want to talk about in a different video and go more in depth is they actually also cover the legal perspective of all of this. Because again, I get a lot of messages and I see a lot of comments about why aren't people suing and class action lawsuits and all of that. And so Roland Martin, who I want to give props to, actually had a panel of attorneys and other people who were more familiar with this sort of subject matter, where they talked about this and talked about some of the options, but also talked about why this is taking as long as it is and having to happen the way that it's evolving versus, you know, call 911 and they go arrest him, which is, you know, the way most people think this goes is so far from having. This ain't your common shoplifting or somebody breaking in your house kind of situation. These are crimes on a whole other level. I'm hoping the wind isn't too bad, but I wanted to come to you guys with this, and I'm chopping it up. This is not the whole full interview on purpose so that you can go to Roland Martin's YouTube channel, and I'll link it below so that you can watch the whole thing. But I wanted to chop this up to cover some of the things that I will talk about in my commentary and, you know, kind of let you guys know what occurred over the last, you know, day. And also there was a discussion and they touched on the predatory practices of specifically Darius Cooks in this case, preying on Black women. And so again, it was just very interesting, and it's something that I want to go more into as we move along, period, but also in the commentary video that I will do within the next week or so. And then also what we'll be moving into is the other discussion they had, which was Darius Cooks is not the only social media influencer who is using these tactics to defraud people, but then silence his critics or people who were survivors, etc. So there was some conversation about that. And as we go along, I actually have some content coming with other social media influencers. I'll actually have something coming out within the next week, you know, totally unrelated to Darius Cooks. However, related to the tactics and the patterns of these scammers and what they do to victimize people who really are just trying to support them and followers and trying to be down for them. And so personally, you know, I have a hard time with that as a person who's, you know, a budding social media influencer myself. I could never imagine taking advantage of those of you who follow me, support me, root for me, and then to twist it and to take advantage of you. That's, to me, there's something wrong with that. There's something going on within that people can do that. And so we'll talk about that more in the future. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to come to you guys with this because I, again, didn't have time to do a commentary video, edit it, and get it out to you guys in a timely fashion. However, I wanted to come to you guys with a snippet of the entire interview from Roland Martin's Unfiltered. I'll have the full video linked below in my description area. But until then, until I come back with my commentary reaction to this particular video, make sure to take care and be blessed. Peace.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. So there are a number of people, obviously, who are now operating these days on social media who gain significant prominence as a result of their social media following. One of those folks is Darius Cook Williams. He is a chef. He sells products, has gotten a significant following on Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. People are buying his products. They are attending various dinner parties that he presents all across the country as well. But many people also accuse the Atlanta cook of doxing people who disagree with him. Some have called him a scammer, a cyberbully, for doxing people who disagree with him or who make a complaint. Again, that was Atlanta Fox 5 reporter Randy Travis. And he actually confronted Darius about the allegations against him. Now, yesterday in an Atlanta court, there was supposed to be a hearing where Darius Cooks Williams was supposed to get a restraining order against my next guest. He said that he had gotten a TRO, a temporary restraining order, against her, and so they went to court yesterday. She showed up. She says he didn't. Melody's Ford, she flew in from Atlanta to share her story and all of the drama that she has been embroiled in and how this has impacted her and her family since all of this began. Glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So yesterday's court hearing,
yes,
again, was supposed to be a hearing to make permanent this restraining order against you. So what was the accusation that Darius Cooks made against you?
He made a false allegation that I have been stalking him. And yesterday was his opportunity to go and present those facts, to go from a temporary protective order to a permanent protective order. Pretty much anyone can go into a courtroom, state facts, and if you're convincing enough, the judge will give you a temporary restraining order, but a court date is then set. You have to appear in court and then prove those allegations.
Now, again, he was pursuing the TRO against you.
That's correct.
He filed it.
Correct.
So you would think that he would show up in court to make it permanent. What happened yesterday?
One would think. He chose not to show up. In fact, my attorney for this particular matter, Will Davis, was able to pull him up online, and when he was supposed to be in court, he chose to be online cooking and fighting with another well-known social media personality, Andrew Caldwell, about the alleged statements for him frauding people.
Now, did his attorney show up?
No.
So you go to court.
Yes.
No one's, again, this is a temporary restraining order that he sought against you.
Correct.
And he doesn't show up.
Correct.
And no one from his side shows up.
Correct.
And your attorney, while you're in court,
Yes.
pulls up and he was live online on Instagram or something else at the very time he was supposed to be in court?
That is correct.
Okay, so where did all this begin in terms of how did y'all meet? Where did this begin?
Darius is an online personality, and I bought a cookbook from him. You know, one of the things several things I could say, but I will give him credit. He, back in 2016, didn't have the following that he has now. He's quite engaging. He is, you know, at the time there was a platform called Periscope. Mm-hmm. And
owned by Twitter, so basically live streaming platform.
Correct. You put in your likes and these personalities and pages start to feed. If I put in cooking, then you'll start to see a bunch of things related to cooking. That is one of the things that I noted, and he showed up. Very engaging, seemed to be funny, seemed like no harm. I purchased a cookbook from Darius. Just talking from overline, we kind of became connected, just like, oh, thank you for your support, so on and so forth. And eventually it led to a situation where he did reach out and he said, you know, hey, you know, as a way that I try to engage my audience, I tend to find out who my demographic is. I hope you don't mind me reaching out. And I Googled you and I see you kind of got it going on. And I'd like to know a little bit more about you. Prior to that, unbeknownst to me, Darius and I had a person in common. And I saw what the brother was trying to do. And let me just say this, Roland, my husband and I do philanthropic things all the time. It was at a time we started to see a lot of our young men being killed. And we said, you know what, let's try to do something for some people out there doing some good things. Let's help some entrepreneurs. And so Darius is kind of one of those people that fed into that thing. And so when he reached out to me, I also extended myself. I saw that he was doing these dinner parties. He was calling them 7 courses. But the homes that he was holding them in, they weren't what you would consider to be something that you really would want to entertain. There was a lot of area for improvement. And I'm not an expert, but I think if you're going to be here, let's try to help one another as much as possible. So we become connected. Over time, I only attended one event, but he did ask me, and once I saw that he had a platform, I suggested, why don't you try to do things that are good? He asked me to speak into his life, and I said yes, and we were coming up on the 2016 election. I said, you have this platform, and people truly did seem engaged. I suggested that he encourage his fan base to vote. Why don't you encourage them to get registered? Why don't you do things like a community garden? And so it was speaking into his life. And one of the things I actually mentioned to him was, you know, why don't you consider starting a book club? He stated that he didn't read like that. And I said, okay.
So the two of you had a very friendly relationship.
It was a friendly associates. Like I've never been to his home, he's never been to mine. But yeah, you try to talk.
And
to
were y'all
people.
Corresponding? Were y'all talking? Were y'all emailing? Were you texting?
DMing, and then it did get to a point where we did have phone numbers for one another, and we did converse from time to time, but very rarely. And so he was going to do this book club, and he asked me, and I gladly accepted. And I said, of course, I'll head that up for you because I do read and I like to read. But that was supposed to happen like on a Sunday, and I want to say that Thursday before. Darius goes online quite a lot. He got online, and it was just horrible the way that he spoke to one of his followers. Now, what's really interesting about that is he'd gone online, and the conversation was about him. He had gone to some company and had his credit fixed, and he was talking about that. And that's pivotal because he later then started a company which the state of Georgia shut down and levied a $145,000 fee for illegal activity. But this woman kept asking for the name of this company, and he refused to give it to her. And then finally he went off, and it was just really, really nasty and just horrible. I reached out to him again because he'd given me the permission to, and he called me Auntie Mel. And I said, you know, you shouldn't talk to your supporters like that. You shouldn't talk to anyone like that. And, you know, I think I'm going to take a step back. And in truth, I started to see little things, and I just wasn't feeling comfortable with, you know, pursuing. You know, you put your seeds in good ground. And I just didn't think that that was the situation that I needed to find myself in. So I backed off, and he immediately went to the group. And at that time, Roland, online, I was known by my business name, my moniker, Agate Adorned. He called me Auntie Mel because obviously—
Say it again.
Agate.
Agate Adorned. Got
Adorned.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
He knew my name, obviously, because he'd mailed me a cookbook, and we'd started to converse back and forth just very lightly. But when this happened and I spoke to him, he went onto the book club page and then gave my full name instead of what people normally knew me as, you know, Auntie Mel or Agate Adorned. He made a statement that said, you know, well, Melanie Ford will no longer be heading up the book club. And then someone made a comment that said, well, Darius is always in some SHIT. If he can't get along with Auntie Mel, he can't get along with anyone. Well, he didn't like that. And so he decided to up the ante, and then his story then changed to, well, the real reason why I am not dealing with Auntie Mel or Melanie Ford is because he had been receiving death threats and hate mail, and that he had traced my IP address and determined that I was the individual that was sending him these threats. Roland, that is a lie. I've never done anything like that. I wouldn't do anything like that. But as a result of him putting out that lie, I was swatted. I had hate mail, I had hate emails, people found my profile. It was absolutely horrible. So much so, one of his followers found me by the information that he had put online and called my phone number because he gave my name, my full name, my address, and other pertinent information. Found me, called me, read to me not only my address, but get this, the address of my parents, and told me they were going to find me and F me up as a result of what he had alleged that I had done to him. Again, this is not true. This is not true.
And again, he has alleged that you were, this was a tweet that he sent out. Let me just double check here. This was on March 17th.
March 17th.
And he says, Melanie's Ford stalking me in the bushes after putting a t-shirt on my car. Yep, call the police. Yep, getting a restraining order. And unlike them, I'll let the judge handle Georgia statute 16-5-9. Let's go. Now, if you see here further, folks, I'm going to pull up another tweet here where he says here, he says that he was granted, let me zoom in for the folks. He said that he was granted a temporary order of protection against you. This says, this includes any mention of my name on social media without my consent. If you observe, my DMs are open for screenshots. And he puts the protective order, and then it says on here, has a judge's name. It was so ordered on March 23rd. You and your attorney say y'all never received that.
No, I was never served with that, but I became aware of it because he posted it all over social media, and because I do not hide, I showed up at court.
And so, in looking at this here again, he said that in terms of, and you look at, again, you put your name in, you will see a number of these tweets, folks who support him, people who making other allegations. But you would think that if he sent a tweet out on March 23rd saying that you were stalking him and he got a TRO and then said this is going to be handled in the courts, why would he not show up? Just so folks know, I had sent Darius a tweet. So first of all, folks had sent me various tweets saying, hey, you should be covering this. And one of the things that I explained to people is that there are a number of people who have made allegations. Some say they were cheated out of products, out of money. And I actually sent tweets to him and he said, well, if they have, they should sue me. And I said, you should come on the show to discuss this. I extended an invitation for him to come on. He didn't respond. He follows me on social media. And so you see, I just tweeted this. Hey, Darius, I'm live on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And I said, she says you didn't show up at yesterday's court appearance. Why? You filed the TRO. Why'd you fail to appear? Hopefully he actually responds during the show.
My Twitter, which I had to literally dust off because I had created it and not used it, has been one where I've told my truth about my experience with Darius. And to your question, why have I've done this? I had no choice. This man has put me all over 3 platforms, calling me a stalker. Before that, if you Googled my name, you would see philanthropic acts, things that are positive, the boards that I sit on, positive things. Now, the first thing you Google, it says that I am a stalker. He took one snippet of a video and then labeled me as a stalker and put it on there. So let's talk about why I was there. You mentioned Randy Travis, an investigative report. He had no idea that Randy Travis knew I was there. I've never followed that man. He got online and presents these facts as if I have been following him all around Georgia and has told that lie. So again, when it came time for him to prove those facts, he chose not to come. Had I not come, he would have gotten a default judgment for the protective order.
The video that he posted saying that you were tracking him, what was that about? What was that? What happened with that video?
It really was a really odd coincidence. So I get a ping from the investigator. There are several people that are after Darius. I have an investigator that I work with that has been keeping an eye on things as far as Darius is concerned, because he has a long history of evading service or not being held accountable. And he also has a problem with doxing people. So I like to keep my name out of his mouth. I like to be aware of what he's doing. And there's a person that does that for me and my family. Because Darius has a habit of bringing this up every now and again, once a quarter, maybe a little bit longer. And he does this for engagement. He's very proud of the fact, and there's video that sits out there where he says, ooh, I tell a good story. And that's part of the challenge. He does this for clicks and engagement. But to your question, I was literally right across the street at my car dealership. And I get a ping from the investigator that says, hey, Darius just went online, gave the address, and said that Randy and some other people are probably going to go and try and catch up with him. I said, you've got to be kidding me, when he gave the address. I literally was across the street, and I brought that with me. One of the things that Darius likes to do, because he thinks he knows everything, is he said, well, there is no, because he put my car online, including my license plate. He says, well, there is no Bentley dealership across the street. Well, Roland, we have more than one car. So he thinks he knows everything. He tried to debunk it. And so I was there waiting on him not waiting on him, I should not say it that way, but I was there when he came out waiting on the investigators, and Randy texts back and said, hey, I can't come, my photographer is here. And so I did stay. Randy, I have a tweet from Randy, he said, hey, can you get some video for me? It probably was not the best move because that's not what I do, but hey, I was across the street. And I have to be really honest with you. When someone has tormented you for so long and has evaded service and has lied and so on and so forth, there was a part of me that wanted to see him finally, this man is going to be exposed. Finally, the law is going to come and catch up with him. So yeah, I wanted to see it. I did. Unfortunately for me, even though there were other people there, Mr. Williams chose to only take a very small snippet of me, then take that video, put it online, and proceed to tell people that I had been following him for years, that I had moved back to Georgia to stalk him, all sorts of horrible things, none of which are true. So I've remained quiet. I've done the best that I could, but this has been horrible. I feel doxxed all over again. I have been, not only when he put me online, he body shamed me, which he has a habit of doing. And let me just say this, I'm not the only one. He has doxed Sonny Anderson. He has doxed his clients. His customers, anyone that speaks out against him, he will go online and he will give your name, he will give your personal information, your email address. Again, to the story that Randy Travis in Atlanta highlighted, he did a whole segment on it. And Roland, there were so many people that came forward, he had to do another one. And there's still an opportunity for more segments to be aired because he continues to harm people this way.
There have been stories. Southern Grit did a story, go to my computer, where they said Darius Cooks, or hashtag Darius Crooks, popular food personality under fire amidst multiple allegations. That's a hashtag folks have been developing.
Sure.
He also posted this tweet here, April 14th, review the list of the people effing with me and their status. The Kitchenista gone, Danielle Holland gone. I think Danielle Holland is a woman who accused him of putting her children's photos of her and her children on, if I'm correct.
You are correct.
And then
And he did do that. She's absolutely correct.
And it was photos that she had posted, but then he reposted those. But then he says, I've got a few more to blast and get rid of. This is the smoke everybody wanted. I'll give it to them. They started it. I'll finish it. Hashtag Darius Cooks. Hashtag a forever problem.
Mrs. Holland never put her children on Twitter. Once he found out she was online anonymously, he found out who she was, went and sought out her page, and I believe it was, this is factual, he went to her Instagram, found pictures of her husband, her children, and put them online. He has said things and done things. There's a video out there where he gleefully says, hey, I have their background checks. I have their social security numbers. One of the problems, and I'm glad we're talking about this, is he enlists and incites his fan base. He's not only the problem, there's also many willing participants that choose to believe what this man has said, and they go after these people. Roland, this is scary to me. I have screenshots where there are people that have said, I work for the police, tell me what you need. This is what they do, all based off because he has this really charismatic persona for those that aren't paying attention. And so once people start to pay attention and they say, wait, something's not right, or they don't receive their product or speak out against him in any way. And these are things that he's done. These are not people that just decided to wake up one morning and say, hey, I want to just be after this guy. These are people that he's injured, he's harmed. He's fighting right now when he was supposed to be in court yesterday with another online personality, Andrew Caldwell. That man has posted on his Instagram page where he now has received death threats, where they're calling him an F word. This is what happens when he calls it, he activates his fan base. And it's like sport for him. He loves it. When he did it to me, he wanted to monetize it. He was on live on IG and he said, let's go to Facebook and make some money off this hoe. That's how he thinks. This is about clicks, engagement, and likes for him, and he's getting paid for it, and he loves it.
Hey, poppin' like I'm supposed to. Watch out for the people that ain't close to. Speak a little something you could toast to. I ain't tryna hear about what you won't do. Moving like I'm into. Hit the ground running like the rent do. Speak a little something that you're into. I ain't tryna hear about what you been through. Like hold up, say what's the hold up. I got the pack, who got the roll up? I'm tryna pull up. It seem like every time I show up, it gotta go up. See the drip, they see the glow up. Oh, now they know us. See, it's funny how my pockets out of shape, but I fit for the flex. Clear the phone call, hit my chick with a text. Parlay through the bird with my drip from the jets. Save a couple hundred by your with the rest. I